Christmas is about the atmosphere. Walking into a shop, there's lights and there's a tree and all that. There's Christmas music playing. And also, KFC.
Wow.
Hello and welcome to the Abroad in Japan podcast. Probably the best way of learning about life in Japan without actually being in Japan. I'm your host, Chris Broader. We're joined as always by England's top Japan enthusiast, Mr. Pete Dawson himself. Pete, how the devil are you doing? What's going on over there?
I'm good. I've been catching up on your video releases, so to speak. Everyone's video releases, really. Connor and Pete and stuff. I've been watching you. I've been watching Connor queuing up for 5 hours for a little kind of those kind of like onigiri rice ball things. I've been watching Pete just roll around Shibuya here and there. It's you guys have really filled your Octobers and forthcoming Novembers with a lot of action. A lot. You guys have been really busy.
I don't know what I've done recently. I've been filming a video for ages. I'm working on a big silly video, and rather than make like 3 like smaller videos, I've just gone all out for this one video that will be out. Hopefully, it might be out the time this has come out. It's about well, I won't say what it's about, but yeah, I'm an idiot. I should have just made more smaller videos. Less video, more small videos. but I've got like a big project on the horizon. I think the problem with Abroad in Japan is videos do release pretty infrequently, and I'm an idiot for that. And I think what I've got planned in December and late November will address that once and for all. Forever.
Oh.
Don't sound too excited. Pete went, there's a wall over
we'll
there.
We'll address that forever. I mean, address that forever is hardly like a rabble-rousing statement, is it? I will address this forever.
I'm thanks.
Have you been over? Have you seen this guy? He's addressing something forever.
I'll address you forever in a minute.
Address you.
Well, no,
I've
got a plan. Got a plan up my sleeve. It's going to be good. It's going to be good shit. Trust me.
You're going to split yourself into 2 people, and one's going to edit and one's going to produce.
That would be
the person
ideal.
Script. Yeah,
I would love that. But no, it's not that good. But yeah, I've got this really stupid idea that I've hatched and been planning and thinking about, and yeah, it should be good. It should be good. It's scary because it's like an idea.
Halloween,
as we all know. Well, I do like these big silly ideas that normally break me, and this is the most breakable idea. Yeah,
right.
I don't. But like. I've done Journey Across Japan, Natsuki the movie, chess boxing, all this stuff.
Are you finally going to get your pilot's license? Is this what the next thing is?
No, nobody wants to see that. That'd be right with me crashing a plane. That's not entertainment.
Do what that lad did in America who crashed his plane deliberately, and filmed.
He got in a lot of trouble
views.
for that, didn't he?
He did. I think he might be in prison for it. You can't. You literally can't just crash a plane.
No, you can't, and I think reasonably so.
What I like about it is like he didn't really think about what it looked like to people who really know their planes, and people pointed out that like he's clearly replaced the engine with something not quite as valuable and painted it blue so it looked like the previous stock engine and all of this stuff, and he when for some reason he already had the door open and stuff. It's just very God. Like, and he could have landed here in a valley, but he decided not to. He decided to jump out and stuff. So it just seemed like a lot of work for a couple of grand, to be honest. It really just too much. Just
influencers, streamers, YouTubers.
Yeah.
God, I hate them all. I hate them. and Johnny Somali, he got rearrested the other day. In Japan when your 30 days is up, whatever, you sort of get released. Yes. And then he came out, I think, on the steps of the police station, and he just got arrested again. So off he goes again for another 30 days. Well, hey.
Yeah. I think
what's going to happen
finding
next?
Out exactly how unfair, or maybe just fair, and uncompromising the Japanese legal system is right now.
Yeah, it's certainly overdue, let's face it. But still going to be interesting to see if... Well, doubt it. It'll be interesting to see what fate awaits him. You know, will he get deported? Will he? Won't he?
Yeah.
I don't know. It's a bit like Ross and Rachel and Friends. Won't they? Will they? Won't they? Will he or won't he get deported? Let's find out. But before that, we got a story from Mags in Cardiff, who says, "Dear Chris and Pete, on my first trip to Japan in March 2020, I visited Tokyo and Kyoto. On my last day in Kyoto, as I was making my way from my hotel to the train station, and catch a bullet train, there was a large bang. I then realised that one of the wheels had come off my case. Oh my God. But I still had a good 15-20 minute walk to the station. Jesus. Fortunately, a Japanese man in his 40s also heard the noise and turned around to work out what it was. I showed him the broken wheel. He didn't speak any English, nor I Japanese. And he had looked as though he was in a rush. But he came to see if he could help me fix my case. He then gestured for me to wait while he ran off with the wheel." That's the end of the story.
I got your wheel.
I lost my wheel. That's what Pete Darlston would have done. The story continues. About 5 minutes later, he came running back. He'd visited a local garage and they'd loaned him some parcel tape. We then got to work mending my case, doing a good enough job that it lasted until I landed back at Heathrow Airport. I thanked him profoundly. Lots of arigato. And he said, "Have a good trip." I live in the UK, and I can't imagine anything or anyone doing anything like that. Furthermore, as a woman, there's always a little part of me that's scared when a man I don't know approaches. But this guy was my saviour for the last part of my holiday, and I've always felt safe when exploring Japan solo. With that in mind, are Japanese people always that helpful? Do you have any similar stories? Thank you for the podcast and the YouTube videos. I found them useful prior to travelling. Best wishes, Mags in Cardiff. What a lovely chap. Fixing the wheels of broken foreigners' cases around Japan.
Well, I think we've had on the podcast before stories about people who have got a broken chain on a bike or whatever, and people have kind of popped over and helped people out because they knew how to fix it. It's just, look, if you've got the skills, why not pay the bills? Why not get involved and tape up the because the thing about like suitcases, they don't feel particularly fixable. You know what I mean? They don't feel like they might be easily fixed. It just feels like they're one. As soon as they're broke, you see them quite a lot next to like bins because someone's like went, "Well, that's broke," and I'm just emptying all my stuff out of the carrier bag and I'm just leaving my suitcase there. It's not great.
No, this is nice though.
It is nice. It makes me feel good.
I'm heartwarmed.
Yeah. Heartwarmed.
Yes. Nobody fixed my bloody bicycle chain when it broke. All these lovely stories we have, but I feel like I haven't experienced the brunt of the kindness as these people have, and maybe I'm just a bit intimidating. I don't know, but I'm going to do. I'm going to go.
You just look like you can fix it yourself. See, you look quite resourceful and industrious.
Well, affable and resourceful. The big two.
Yeah.
I'm going to go and break my suitcase wheels now and see if anybody helps me. That'd be like a challenge.
That should be the new video. You break something in front of someone, and then they help you out or don't, so to speak.
I broke my suitcase in Japan. Who helped me? It'd be one of those like social challenges. What they call it? People did them a while back. They always did these like social
very popular
challenges.
Those kind of nonsense.
Well, they did awful things. There was an Australian woman who did a social challenge, and she just went up and like kissed random Japanese men in Roppongi. Caused a bit of a stir. I recall. That was like a couple of years ago now. Social challenge. But speaking of challenges, it's been a real challenge for the Unification Church, the greatest church ever.
The greatest church ever.
It's not though. It's not at all. Now let's rewind 1 year ago to the day that former Prime Minister Shinzo Abe was shot. He was murdered. He was assassinated, and the guy that did it claimed to have done it because his mother gave all of the family money to the Unification Church. He wasn't very happy about that. And when the people of Japan discovered this and it came out sort of how the Unification Church had infiltrated the LDP, Japan's ruling political party, it really hurt the party. And the Prime Minister Kishida took a bit of a blow over this. That sounds Rob. But it rained down hell upon the church. And now Japan has dealt them the final blow by stripping their status as a religious corporation. Right, Pete?
Yeah, I mean, it's weird that it took, something so horrific, an event so horrific to have Japanese public opinion sort of turn against a church that obviously has its teeth, its talons right into the very heart of the seat of power in Japan. And yeah, under Japan's religious corporations law, religious order can be dissolved if its actions are clearly recognised as being substantially detrimental to public welfare. I mean, it sounds very much like the sort of act that they would use to dissolve cults that have like perpetrated like terrorist attacks and stuff like that. It's like it sounds very much like a public order that was meant for one thing, but is now very much going after the very fabric of religious and political life in Japan. The government has judged that the church is engaged in financially damaging donation solicitation, and the group has been ordered by the courts to pay as much as 20 billion yen in compensation to around 1,500 victims. They obviously came under fresh scrutiny after the death of Shinzo Abe, after his perceived links to the group. Tetsuya Yamagami, whose mother's large donations to the church severely impacted his family. He claimed he targeted Abe partly because of his grandfather, the former Prime Minister Nobusuke Kishi, helped bring the church to Japan in the 1960s. And this has really damaged the reputation of the church. The LDP members have apparently thoroughly cut relations with the Unification Church amid concerns that the religious organisation had been trying to wield influence in the political arena. I mean, this is a huge story for Japan, because it's hard to understate how important the church is to political life in Japan, and how important political life in Japan is important to this church. They've got a lot of money, a lot of vested interests. It's going to be interesting to see where else they resurface, let's say.
It sounds like a conspiracy, doesn't it? When on the surface, like a political a religious organisation that's infiltrated a government in every level, every way. But it's true, and it's insane. I still can't believe the depth of which they're able to penetrate the political party. And like the reason there's that relationship is, when a politician comes up for election in Japan, they need sort of employees and staff to help fund it and run it, right? Because often politicians get out there, they're waving on fucking roofs of cars, on crosswalks and sidewalks across the city, and they're all waving and they're doing these events, and they need staff. And the Unification Church would provide the staff for those politicians, right? Sort of the politicians help them, and then the church helps them with their political campaigns. So, yeah, a lot of the staff, people that worked on political campaigns for politicians around the country, were Unification Church members. And, really weird thing. But you might have seen the Unification Church. It's founded in South Korea, and you might have seen those images of those mass weddings where you've got like hundreds of people getting married at the same time. And it's the same church, run by Sun Myung Moon. And the people that are part of the church are often known as Moonies, which sounds dreadful, truly dreadful.
Well, the Moonies were like really sort of the Moonies were really popular in like the 80s. That was a real kind of like people talked about them like a cult, its peak, back in the 80s in the UK. Interesting.
But that compensation's pretty chunky,
pretty hefty.
20 billion yen. Well, I mean, it's about 150 million
a lot of money. I imagine it's a fingernail on the body of money that they've been awarded. So, yeah. Well, absolutely. Look, it's all going in the right direction. That's the main thing.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, yeah, thank God they're out of the picture. But, I'll never forget how it swung. The assassination of Shinzo Abe swung around so fast from a sort of mass shock to mass anger at the church. And sort of almost letting the killer Tetsuya Yamagami off the hook a little bit. Not off the hook, but sort of there was a lot of sympathy for him, that his mum had blown all the family cash on this church, and church that was affiliated with the political party that runs Japan. So, yeah, real political ramifications. I'm not surprised at all that the government chose to do this. We're back just a moment, guys, with your stories, comments, and questions over in the Fax Machine.
Wow.
And we're back with the Fax Machine. What do we got this week from our listeners, Mr. Dawson? Take it away.
We got a message from... I don't like when you point at me and say, take it away.
I'm going to point at you what I want.
Trixie. I don't think I've ever heard from a Trixie before. Hi, this is Trixie from the Philippines, and based on your response, this might be a family or solo trip. My goal is to visit Japan this year for 2 weeks for Christmas. My mum loves Christmas, and she thinks it would be depressing to visit Japan during December because there would be absolutely nothing to do, because the Japanese don't celebrate it like we Christians do. Because of this, she would like to visit festive places outside of Tokyo and Kansai, as we've been there before. If there's none, it will be just me staying in Tokyo for 2 weeks since I haven't explored it as much as I would have liked. Please help me with an itinerary, as I would have to convince my mum before I fix my visa requirements. She would be funding most of the trip, and she really doesn't like the idea of me spending Christmas on my own. So her approval is my goal. Best regards, Trixie. That is adorable, taking your mum to Japan for Christmas, Trixie. Do you not think that, like, you two being together embodies the very spirit of family and Christmas? Who needs the baubles and the silliness? And surely, like, there'll be enough churches celebrating it, so pop to a church.
There are a lot of Christian churches in Japan. For me, I actually think Japan isn't too bad at Christmas. I know it gets a bit of a bad rap, but like they really go all out on the decorations. And for me, Christmas is about the atmosphere. Walking into a shop, there's lights and there's a tree and all that. There's Christmas music playing. And also KFC, Christmas menu, right? It's a little bonus. That's what Jesus would have wanted. A Kentucky Fried Chicken box. If your mum's not impressed by that, Trixie, nothing will impress her. So get the KFC Christmas bucket. Go and look at the snow monkeys up in the mountains. They're festive. Go and roll around in some snow. I suppose that's another thing, the whole image of a white Christmas, something that has eluded the people of the UK forever, because we just don't get snow ever. You get snow here, so you can have that sort of Christmassy, snowy feel. Go somewhere like Sapporo, roll around in the snow again. I don't know if I'm selling it to you here, but I think Japan. I think you'd have a lot of fun, and it'll be a treat, a real treat to remember. Probably. I think it'd be good. I actually like Japan at Christmas, to be honest. I do like it. Yeah, it's not. Is it as good as the UK? No, we don't have the pub atmosphere over here. Or is it as good as like a German Christmas market? No, but I think you'll find there's a nice vibe here overall, and it's got a little bit of a Christmas vibe, right, Pete? You've never been here for Christmas, have you?
Never been here for Christmas, but I've always fancied it because it's a bit less chill, and I think Christmas invites its own pressure as well. So to have very little of that pressure to make Christmas the bestest day ever, it's just better, isn't it?
And the last question we've got is from Joel, who says, "Hello, chiseled abs, Chris, and Powerhouse Pecs, Pete." Is it Powerhouse Pecs, Pete? God, have you seen
Powerhouse Pecs, Pete? I'll have that. That. Thank you.
My name's Joel from Ohio, and I'm planning to visit Japan for the first time at the end of the month. My question is, what are some good ideas for omiyage souvenirs to bring to Japan for any friends that I make along the way? Also, do shops there get mad if you wear a backpack in the store? Keep up the good work, Joel from Ohio. P.S. Love the book, Chris. Thank you very much, Joel. Number one, backpack, no, not an issue. I think the only time you might see people angry in Japan is if you've got like luggage and you're on a train, a busy train on the Yamanote line, you've got like 3 bits of luggage and the wheels fall off. This week we had a story about a wheel falling off. Last week or the week before we had a story about a backpack or a rucksack, like a suitcase where the wheels just led it to just roll down the carriage and crash into 5 people. Foreign tourists. Yeah. Like foreign terrorists with all these bag problems. But no, other than that, don't worry. Omiyage souvenirs, though, I always get the same thing, and it's umeshu
Tokyo
plum
banana.
wine and Tokyo banana. Yeah, Tokyo banana's good.
Tokyo banana's
creamy,
good. Nice, yeah.
Twinkie chocolate. What is it? Tokyo banana. They're just like little bananas stuffed full of cream, right, Pete? They're good.
Yeah, delicious. Yeah. I don't think there's a single thing in Japan that isn't improved by jamming a bit of cream in there.
Tis true.
To be quite frank, tis true.
I've given up giving drinks to my friends and family, like umeshu, plum wine, or sake, because they always go, "Oh wow, I've always wanted this," and then when I go to their houses 2 years later, it's still there, completely untouched on the shelf, and they're not. It's like a vintage wine. You've got to drink sake in like 2 years, so yeah, don't get sake for anyone. It's just a letdown. What do you get your friends normally, Pete?
I think last time I brought home a load of onion soup. It was special. It was special. I can't remember where the onions were from. I think it might have been Sapporo kind of way. But yeah, airport onion soup, little sachets of onion soup. Absolutely delicious though. I had a couple. Absolutely bang them back. Lovely old job. Beautiful.
Disgraceful.
Disgraceful
Sounds
stuff.
I'm
delicious.
Just imagine like the excitement at your good friend Pete arriving back from Japan. You're like, oh, he brought sushi, wagyu, cheese. Oh no, it's some dodgy, mouldy soup. Honestly, horrible. God damn it, Pete. God damn it. But keep the stories, questions coming in to abroadinjapanpodcast@gmail.com. We'll be back later in the week, guys, to all over again. But for now, no matter where you might be, out there in the big wide world, have yourself a great few days, and we'll see you right back here to do it all over again on the Abroad in Japan podcast. Bye for now.
Keep the onion soup rolling in. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.